I heard a lot of good things about this anime, but after reading the original manga, Parasyte the Maxim is not as good as I thought. Anyways, here's my video essay on how Madhouse's Parasyte became a disappointing anime adaptation of an iconic manga, especially after I learned of its mixed reception in Japan. This video is not made to bash on the people who loved this anime. It is meant to explain my problems with the way the source material was adapted by Madhouse. I've always heard of the name Parasyte, the anime that my cousin watched when he was a teenager. By the time I became an adult, I learned that the anime was based on a manga published in the late 80s or 90s. After the series ended, Parasyte became a timeless classic and even won 2 awards, particularly the Seiyun Award. But what made the manga so special is because of its social commentary on environmentalism and a critique on humankind being a threat to Earth. It was not afraid to tackle social topics about the nature of humanity, a central theme in the series. The manga gave us a clear message: what it means to be a human. Despite its critical acclaim, it shockingly never got an anime adaptation earlier. Hayao Miyazaki, one of Studio Ghibli's directors, wanted to make his own Parasyte anime since he apparently liked the manga, which makes perfect sense because most of Miyazaki's works focuses on themes and topics like environmentalism, which is seen in films like Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind and Princess Mononoke. But it never came into fruition as the manga film rights were owned by Hollywood to make their own adaptation. It was cancelled after several years of development hell, and the manga film rights went back to Japanese studios, where they finally announced that they're gonna make both a two-parter live-action film and an anime adaptation titled Parasyte the Maxim, produced by Studio Madhouse. But what went wrong with the 2014 anime? When the anime and film adaptations came out in 2014 and 2015, both of them received mixed reviews for various reasons. The two live-action films, directed by Takahashi Yamazaki, is a different case, but I will talk about that later. The 2014 anime adaptation, on the other hand, has a mixed reception in Japan because of how the studio made a lot of controversial changes to the source material, especially the time setting, art style, and character designs. But in the West, it has surprisingly gained positive reviews. Perhaps for two reasons: because the manga didn't get much attention in the West despite its status as a cult classic in its native country, and that Madhouse is one of the most well-regarded anime studios according to the Western anime community. But after reading more of the source material, I slowly grew to dislike the 2014 anime because I am not a fan of how the anime was made. The more I scrutinized this show, the more I became disappointed with its end results, which made me finally realize what went wrong with the anime adaptation and why it received a lot of hate in Japan. Here are 3 reasons why Parasyte the Maxim is a disappointing adaptation. Since the manga was going to get an anime adaptation in 2014, the producers had to make some questionable changes to some of the manga's core aspects, such as the character designs, and that the story will take place in the 2010s instead of its original time period, 1980s or 1990s. I do understand why they had to change its time period, especially since we're now living in the modern era. Back in the late 1980s, Japanese people from that era only used telephones or payphones to talk with their friends and family, and did not have smartphones or flip phones until they were made in the late 1990s, and the internet was not that big until the 2000s. But I have mixed feelings about the inclusion of smartphones and advanced internet in a series that started in the late 20th century, so I am not sure if this was a good idea to give Parasyte a modern update. I also don't understand why they would make the characters so unrecognizable to people who read the manga. Their new looks are a total downgrade from their original counterparts, and that the main problem is that these redesigns are just lazy and boring. For example, Mitsuo, the guy who bullied Shinichi, is depicted as a modern street gangster with a slimmer body figure instead of the classic muscular Japanese delinquent we've seen in different anime or manga series. To be fairly honest, his anime character design is rather bland and generic. It doesn't have the same charm as his classic appearance. I don't know why, but he kinda looks like that one character from Persona 3. Satomi Murano had a more different hairstyle, but this makes her look like a different person instead of the quirky and feisty brown-haired girl we've seen in the manga. Her original character design is not only adorable but also distinguishes her from most characters with darker hair color. While I do know that Satomi is not the only light-haired character to show up, she maintains a stronger presence in this series, which is why she stands out from most characters. It was indeed disappointing to know that Madhouse changed her looks and how they altered her personality in a bad way, but we're almost getting to that point. Her anime character design is okayish but feels like a downgrade from her manga counterpart. But I particularly hated Shinichi's anime character design a lot more, solely because of its lack of originality. Anime Shinichi is more of a Peter Parker knockoff if you look at his glasses and brown hair very closely. Manga Shinichi was more of a wimpy coward who screams like a girl, not a dorky nerd we've seen in the anime. And keep in mind guys, Parasyte was inspired by Devilman, one of the most influential manga in Japan. I hated the way the side characters were treated in this anime. This show is riddled with flanderization and character assassination whenever I scrutinize its adaptation and the way they ruined the side characters, both minor and major. For the minor characters, I felt like Madhouse was trying to give some of Shinichi and Satomi's classmates more screen time, but their attempts just fell flat for me. As much as I love the idea of minor characters getting more screen time and seeing more of their relationship with either Shinichi or Satomi, I am not pleased with the way they were incompetently handled in the 2014 anime. For example, Nagai and Yuko comes into my mind. Nagai, one of Shinichi's classmates, first appeared in chapter 10 when he was attacked by Mitsuo and his gang. In the anime, Nagai is turned into a punching bag because whenever he shows up, he gets beaten by not only Mitsuo and his gang, but also Migi and Shimada.
You're even weaker than I thought you'd be. Don't do it. Yo, Shinichi, this guy bothering you? I haven't seen you around, buddy. Did you just transfer? Don't interfere.
They really did him dirty in this show. For those who read the manga, you guys probably know that Yuko Tachikawa only appeared in the story arc where Hideo Shimada made his introduction and didn't show up again after that arc ended. I appreciate that she was given more screen time, but I hated some of the wrong changes made to her character, and I dislike the way the anime producers altered her relationship with Shimada. Unlike her anime counterpart, Yuko never had any real feelings for Shimada in the manga. I also never liked the idea of Yuko being close friends with either Satomi or Shinichi, which is not only unsuitable but also somewhat muddled the narration in this show, especially for those who read the manga. In that one scene from episode 10, Shinichi stood up from his chair and looked at the table where Yuko used to sit. He began to realize that she is in danger, but did he went to find Yuko? No, because they were not classmates in the manga and Shinichi only went to search for Shimada. This was a confusing scene for the viewers who were led to believe that Shinichi was going to save Yuko. It just doesn't make any sense at all. Also, I've been noticing the subtle hypocrisy that kept showing in this anime. Like Madhouse wanted to give the minor characters more screen time, yet they ended up sidelining Kamijo in favor of Satomi's fake friends. He talked with Shinichi numerous times and often teases him. He was also the one who gave Shinichi's school bag to Satomi in chapter 43, not Yuko. Speaking of Satomi's fake friends, I personally hated Akiho Suzuki's annoying presence in that show. I am so glad that I chose to prefer the manga because I couldn't tolerate Akiho's infuriating existence. She's honestly the worst character in this anime. And who even thought of adding Yuko and Akiho in the main key visual of the 2014 anime? They were not even main characters in the source material, and Akiho didn't even show up in the manga. It feels more like a clickbait to me or any anime viewers who took a look at the poster. This is not how you handle minor characters in the 2014 anime adaptation, which is a shame because they missed an opportunity to flesh out Shinichi and Satomi's relationship with their classmates. As for the major characters, the one who got butchered the most is Satomi Murano, Now this one left a bad taste in my mouth. Satomi is the primary example of how a manga character is badly ruined and mistranslated in an anime adaptation. I've talked about her character Assassination before, and this topic deserves more attention. Satomi is a realistic and grounded character in the manga. She plays a symbolic role and is important to the main themes of the story. I never understood why she was getting a lot of hate from the viewers, but after I read the manga and properly watched the anime, I realized what Madhouse has done to her characterization. Satomi Murano is a more well-written and interesting character in the manga. Satomi is the perfect foil for Migi, and she understands what it means to be a human. Despite her goofy and cheerful persona, Satomi's defining character trait is her keen perception and intuition, which adds more depth to her character because she looks through someone's facade and senses something is deeply wrong with them. Her actions were completely justified, mostly in the manga, because Satomi was bothered by Shinichi's seemingly sociopathic attitude when he threw a dead puppy in a trash can. He also never told Satomi on what happened to his own mother. And there's that stupid scene where Satomi was accidentally groped by Shinichi when she appeared in the first episode. That never happened in the manga because Shinichi, thanks to Migi, was gently stroking the shoulder of some random girl who slapped him in the face. I don't know why they would do that to Satomi in the anime. It is also weird that the producers changed the way she was portrayed in the anime. In the original manga, Satomi had a more active personality. She is an expressive, independent, feisty, forceful, and quirky individual, but the anime turned her into a demure and bashful girl. As for the quote, "Are you really Izumi?" it was done a lot better in the manga because it was less preparative and handled with care, and how it matches with the manga's themes about identity crisis, as if Satomi's gut instincts were telling her that Shinichi is having an identity crisis. While Satomi was unaware of Migi's existence, she knows very well that something is deeply wrong with Shinichi and that he's hiding secrets from her, and it drew her closer to the truth. But Shinichi cannot open up to Satomi nor share his problems with her, thanks to Migi, who threatened to kill her if he dares to tell anyone about their existence. Unfortunately, Are You Really Izumi got lost in translation when the story was adapted into an anime. As a result, the quote loses its meaning and Satomi's characterization was done dirty. This is why she comes off as annoying because her dialogue was badly mangled by the anime screenwriters. Not only did the anime destroy the nuance and substance of that quote, but the producers and screenwriters also altered some scenes where they painted Satomi in a negative light. It feels like the producers had some hatred against Satomi's existence in the series. For example, there's that one scene from episode 13 where Shinichi refuses to tell Satomi about his secrets. In the manga, Satomi was mildly annoyed by his secretive behavior, but she does not want to argue with the guy who saved her life. But his secrecy is what strains their relationship, which is understandable because Shinichi refuses to open up to her, thanks to Migi's threats. In the anime, however, she gets angry at Shinichi and turned her back on him like a whiny brat.
ない。別に何もない。
何もないって言われても信じられないよ。こんなんじゃもう普通に話なんてできない。
Yeah, the anime screenwriters are not afraid to hide their disdain for Satomi's existence. They did her so dirty in this show, and it's not enjoyable at all. The final episode was able to fix anime Satomi, but the damage was done. They officially ruined her reputation as a character in the eyes of anime viewers, and she deserves better. It still shocks me that the show gets praise from the audience, despite the anime's producers' mistreatment of its side characters. When it comes to adapting a manga, it must capture the essence and soul of its source material and keep its atmosphere in the final product. Anime adaptations such as Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, Fruits Basket 2019, and Attack on Titan succeeded with this method. This is how a faithful adaptation was done right because they were able to recapture the heart and soul of its source material. Fruits Basket 2019 was able to do justice to the atmosphere of its source material by bringing back the darker aspect from the manga, something that left an everlasting impact on its audience. If you change the ambience of an iconic series, it's not the same series as we know and love. This is why manga author Natsuki Takaya didn't like the 2001 anime adaptation of Fruits Basket because it was too light-hearted and the way they changed its ambience. That's why it was a different version from her series, which has a more dramatic tone. The original Parasyte manga has a lot of creepy yet eerie vibes added to its story. It is subtle and quiet, but it matches the manga's philosophical themes. If you read any chapters, you can feel the suspense whenever Shinichi is cornered by the parasites who try to kill him, or the final battle with him and Goto. The anime, on the other hand, decided to change its atmosphere for questionable reasons. Because of the modernization of its source material, the anime feels nothing like the manga. It did not make any attempt to recapture its essence. As for the soundtrack, they really don't fit the manga's original tone. I'm not gonna put the blame on Ken Arai for creating the wrong music for the series. This was his debut as a composer, so he's not at fault for being hired as the one to make the background music for the anime. Other than that, the dubstep and electronic music does not suit the ambience of the manga. Most of them do not match certain scenes. It kind of ruins most of the show's serious moments. For example, there's a scene in episode 1 where Shinichi and Migi encountered a parasite dog who attempted to attack them.
It's a dog, and it's eating another dog.
So I see you failed too.
Please don't talk, Mr. Doggy.
Your host is not optimal. I also am dissatisfied with this host.
Run! Run! Hurry!
Or that other scene where the duo is being spoiled by Koramori. Dubstep music just ends up decreasing those serious moments for us. It really becomes distracting for the audience, and it makes Madhouse Parasyte more like a generic sci-fi action instead of a horror drama series. I'm gonna come up with an example on how to make a music that fits the ambience of its story. Tokyo Ghoul has a flawed anime adaptation that aired back in 2014. But one of its biggest accomplishments is creating a music that matches its atmosphere. I will show you a scene from season 1's last episode.
Mom. Oh, Mom. I wish that you were still here with me. I hate being all alone. I miss you so much, it hurts. Why couldn't you just live for me? You had a choice. Why didn't you choose me?
Once you carefully listen to the sound of the piano in the background, it enhances Kaneki's emotional moments. You can feel him crying for his mother, which makes this scene more tearful. This is how you make a music that fits the ambience of your favorite series. As for the theme song in Parasyte the Maxim, I personally dislike Let Me Hear so much. I have nothing against heavy metal music, but this song does not match the manga's atmosphere. The extended version is even worse because of its inconsistent tone, and it hurts my ears every time I listen to Let Me Hear. This was not a part of my 3 main problems with the anime adaptation, but I had to include them in the video essay because I need to express my thoughts on them, since I saw other errors in the anime adaptation. Number 1, I did not like the way the first few chapters were adapted in the anime. The manga began with a narration on what is happening to planet Earth, followed by a scene where sprouse were falling out of the night skies. This is where the parasites started their invasion on human bodies and how Migi goes into Shinichi's right arm. The manga did a solid job at building up the suspense of the story, as the readers were invested to see what will happen with Shinichi and Miki and their conflict with the parasites. However, the anime ended up rushing the start of the story. Unlike the manga, the anime opened with the human transforming into a parasite, followed by the scene where Shinichi wakes up for school in the morning. Then we get flashbacks on how the parasite got into his right arm. But in my opinion, this was disjointed and rushed because it ruins the growing suspense of the story. This is not the first time Madhouse made a flashback episode for one of their anime shows. That happened in the anime adaptation of Chihaya Furu, which is a sports manga about a girl who became interested in playing karuta. But unlike Parasyte the Maxim, the flashback episode was done a lot better in Chihaya Furu. It was not rushed or incoherent, but it did a good job at making the audience invested in the story and its characters. Number 2. There's also an anime-only scene where Shinichi saw his depressed father drinking alcohols and suggested if they can hire a housekeeper who can cook food for them. I thought this was a pretty good scene since the housekeeper did appear in the manga. But that scene immediately became pointless for the audience because the housekeeper didn't show up in the anime. Like, what was the point of adding that scene in the first place? I may have a lot of problems with this anime adaptation, but I'm gonna point out a few good parts that I really liked about this show. The animation is pretty good for the most part. It is safe to say that it was the main highlight of this show. Sometimes the drawing expressions did not get translated well into the anime because of how Shinichi's faces were awkwardly drawn. However, I do like the way they animated Miki's movement action scenes, so I would say this was indeed some of the few good things to ever come out of that anime. I also love some of the Japanese and English vocal performances in this anime. For the Japanese, the ones who delivered the best voice acting are Atsuko Tanaka, Kazuhiko Inoi, and Aya Hirano. Atsuko Tanaka was perfectly cast as Reiko Tamura, and I loved the way she delivered her performance in certain moments. Tamura was one of those characters who did not get butchered in either the anime or live action films. Kazuhiko Inoi also did a neat job at playing Goto, and I know that some fans did not like the idea of Aya Hirano as Miki, but I think she did a much better job at playing the role of Miki compared to Sado Abe's lackluster performance in the live action films. I'm also gonna give a shout out to the English cast as well. Some of their voices surprisingly matches the characters' personalities in the manga, which is why I am okay with the idea of them reprising their roles in a potential readaptation of Parasyte. Adam Gibbs and Lucy Christians were standouts among the English cast thanks to their effort in their performances. In terms of direction, I think Lucy Christian did a much better job at playing Satomi Murano than Kana Hanazawa had done. Lucy Christian was given a much better script and direction, which is why she was able to make anime Satomi less annoying and more endearing to the viewers, even if I am not a fan of how Satomi was portrayed in the anime. I do not care about the music that does not fit the manga's tone, but I do adore the ending theme song, It's the Right Time by Daichi Miura. I am a bit biased because I am a huge fan of Daichi Miura and I love this song a lot more than the intro for the anime. I am just disillusioned. It means being disappointed with something that is not as good as we thought. And this is what I felt about the 2014 anime. Despite the redeeming qualities I mentioned, Parasyte the Maxim unfortunately failed as an adaptation of a great manga. But what is more upsetting is that it had a lot of potential to be a great anime. I really wanted to like this show. It could have been a modern love letter to old school anime and manga, but it was squandered by its controversial direction and the questionable changes Madhouse made for this adaptation. Satomi Murano's unforgivable character assassination and the poor handling of her dialogue was the last straw for me, and this is where I give this anime a lower score. It makes me sad because Madhouse is well known for producing some of the greatest and popular anime shows plus films. But Parasyte the Maxim has to be one of their underwhelming entries. While it is okay as an ordinary anime, and it's not the worst anime adaptation I've seen, it's nowhere as incredible as the manga published in the late 80s or 90s. The anime feels superficial at best and lackluster at worst. Madhouse did not elevate the source material and only brought more harm to the iconic manga, and that's why Parasyte the Maxim became forgettable in Japan. This is not how a faithful adaptation works. The original manga is a classic series that influenced the creation of some of the best horror franchises such as Tokyo Ghoul and Chainsaw Man. Without Parasyte, we never would have gotten those series in the first place. Given the 2014's mixed reception in Japan, there's a chance that the manga might get a new anime adaptation somewhere in the future, similar to Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood and Fruits Basket 2019. I'm gonna end this video with 3 words. Parasyte deserves better. Thank you for watching, guys. I know this was a little longer than the first ones I made, and I apologize if I ranted a little too much. Let me know in the comment section if you enjoyed this video essay of mine.